All right, so before we start our panel, just two more quick announcements. One, I have several more of those Starbucks gift cards. So if anybody here uses social media, does anybody have like Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or anything like that? If you can take like a good picture or hear a good nugget of information and tweet it and post it and Instagram it and whatever else you do with you kids today, right? Post it on there. We're gonna pick out a few at the end that are really good and give a Starbucks gift card. Yeah, that's right. Tag us at Crowded Work. That's the best way to do it. Feel free to take any pictures. If the pictures are bad, especially if they're of me, you will not get a Starbucks gift card. So only good pictures of me, or better yet, pictures and quotes from everyone else. Number two, next month, actually, we're working with UBS, which is cool. So we're doing another one of these at UBS, focusing on financial technologies, fintech, security, things like that. So definitely sign up for that one. Sign up for it fast, because that one will fill up. It's a smaller space than this. The following month, we're working with Microsoft. We're going to be at the Microsoft headquarters, I think one of their offices in the Central Park West area. That is another really cool one. So that one will focus on software technology and all sorts of things like that. So feel free to sign up for that one. But again, sign up for it pretty quickly. These things do fill up, as you can tell. Let me bring up our panel. So Howie Schwartz, why don't you come to the front of the room? And if we can get our panelists to come to the stage, please, that would be great. Thank you. Come on up.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. So if all of our panelists can come up. Awesome. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. I use the same bad joke every time. I say the room is crowded. I'm glad we picked that company name. So it's glad everyone was able to make it out in the rain. We have a great panel this evening that I'm going to introduce in 1 minute. So just a few housekeeping notes. We're going to have lots of time for networking at the end of the event. Mark, can you grab me the waters for the panelists, please? I forgot to bring them up, and want to make sure everyone is hydrated. And if there are any additional employers here who have not checked in with Jamie, if you could do me a favor, if you can just see Mark. Mark, say hello. Mark's our co-founder and COO. Or Jamie. Is Jamie here? Jamie's in the back by the table by the video camera. So again, any employers who would like to speak at the end of the event for 1 minute and tell us about your opening, any technical openings for the amazing 300 developers in the room, please go to the back of the room to see Jamie by the table. You could always try to see Mark up here. So awesome. So thanks again, everyone, for coming. And we're going to start by introducing our panelists. So I'm going to ask each of our panelists, well, first of all, let's look here. Do I have you in the right order? Last time I reversed Google with Foursquare, and it was a little funny, but awesome. So Daquana, do you want to introduce yourself first? I'm going to ask each person to just introduce themselves and their company, and we'll just kick it off that way. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is DeQuena Washington. I am the Talent Acquisition Manager for JW Player. And yeah.
My name is Mark Turner. I'm the Technical Recruiter for LogicWorks. Thanks for coming out.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aurelio. I work for NTT Data. We're a major systems integrator, and I do account management and business development for them. Thanks.
I'm Ryan Johnston, and I head up recruitment at Handy.
Awesome. So we're going to have to add a little bit more. Can you tell us one sentence each about what your company does? So we're going to start with Handy.
We are a marketplace for home services. So in the same way that Uber matches you up with drivers, we match you up with home cleaners, handymen, plumbers, electricians.
Great.
My company handles BPO, various managed services, IT services, things of that sort. My group covers technology staffing, so we're one subset of a larger entity. That's pretty much it. I guess a lot of folks understand what technology staffing is. If not, go home.
My company's LogicWorks. We've been in business for 23 years. We're a cloud services provider, also other tech services and IT services provider, partnered with AWS.
And we are a video streaming technology company, so a lot of the back-end technology for companies who want to leverage video streaming on their websites, we do it.
Excellent, thank you. So I guess the question for the audience, how many of our candidates or developers tonight were here at a previous Crowded meetup? Raise your hand. Awesome. So lots of new faces in the room tonight, which is great. So one of the things that I've been asking for a definition for at the start of each of our panels, for each one of the meetups that we've done, is to define what a junior developer is. How many candidates in the room or developers in the room would consider themselves a junior developer? Raise your hand, nice and proud. It's all good. I haven't written a line of code in 20-something years, so I will raise my hand. Excellent. So I'm going to ask our panelists for their definition of a junior developer. And the reason why is one of the disconnects that we see is a job post that says junior developer, and when you read it, they want a master's degree and 15 years of experience. Has anyone seen that issue? Raise your hand. Okay. So I think as an industry, that's probably something we can work on. So I think it's great to start with some definitions. So Ryan, if you'd like to start, give us your definition of what a junior developer might be, and the number of years of experience might be a good way to start it. We're going to go right down the panel.
So I would say like a year to 3 of experience, depending on what type of environment they've been in. Usually it's someone who can take parts of projects and run with it, but it still definitely needs that mentorship and oversight.
My 2 cents is that it depends on the technology. So for example, if you're involved in data, you've been doing modeling, let's say, or working with data warehouses, and all of a sudden you say, I want to be a data scientist. Now, you don't need 8 years of experience to be a data scientist, as a data scientist to be great at it, right? So I wouldn't look at someone with just 2 years of that as junior per se. However, if you're working with something that's more mature, let's say SAP, and you've been working with it for 1 year, to me that's, 1 year of experience in anything. I think it's like going to a company you just started, you just figured out where the bathroom is. You're kind of new at it. So in a general overview, I would categorize that even to a little bit more, up to 3-4 years as junior. For us, we look at folks with 4, 5 to 8 years of experience as mid, then you start talking more senior when you have more advanced skills. And I'm sorry I'm hogging this here. Where we look at someone that's more advanced, someone who can teach others, who understand more than just the foundation, but the architecture, and talk more to it.
Yeah, I agree totally. It depends on the skill set. I remember years ago when Android and mobile apps development was new, so if you got somebody with a year experience with that, they weren't considered junior because they'd only been out a year. I think it also depends on who you work for and the type of company you work for. I've seen people with a year of experience that have worked for, fast-growing startup that's really up on new technology, and in this 1 year that they've worked for this company, they've got probably 3 years experience if they had worked at a larger company where they didn't get their hands involved in a lot of that stuff. So I like to look at where you've worked at. I've seen people work at large companies where they've worked kind of like this, for 3 years. They could be a junior developer as far as I'm concerned because they've been, just so tunnel vision in what they've done. So it depends on where they've worked at, what they've done, what they've gotten their hands dirty with. Like I said, it could be a year, but that person could be, I consider, more than a junior, or it could be a person with 3 years, and might consider them junior. So I hate to be kind of vague with the HR, it depends, cop out, but it really does.
Yeah, it depends. No, I'm just kidding. I think for us, we do try to be pretty literal when we post a junior level role. For example, we have a junior data engineer role I just posted, and that literally is someone who is, kind of fresh out of college, has some projects under their belt, and maybe also like a year of experience that's, applicable to the role. So if we label it junior, we definitely mean that. And I think to everyone else's point, it definitely will depend on domain knowledge as well. If you come into, the video streaming space and you've never worked with any of the technologies, never worked with any open source technologies, those sorts of things, yeah, it might seem junior, but definitely 1 to 2 years. And if we say it's junior, we're gonna not also require you to have 15 years of experience at the same time.
Then I think there's this distinction also between junior and maybe entry level.
So why don't we define that quickly? That's how many developers in the room would consider themselves entry level? It's okay, raise your hand, nice and proud. Great, so let's define entry level real quick. So Ryan, we'll go straight down again. Just the difference between entry level and junior.
Yeah, I think it comes back to the types of environments that they've worked in the past. Hopefully someone who's coming in at quote unquote entry level has done some type of internship work. They're coming out of school, they're hungry, I I think for smaller companies, it's more difficult to hire people like that, just because they don't have a proven track record and you don't necessarily know exactly like what they can accomplish, which is why I would say in like the startup world, people tend to look for more of that junior developer as opposed to like entry level.
Great. Anyone else on the panel would like to add to that, or?
Yeah, I think entry level, if you've never done it before, then you're entry level. Straightforward for us, for me. If you've gone through school, maybe got a master's degree, and you've handled different projects in a particular tool or stack, well, then you're not entry level. You're going to be pretty junior, granted, because you're fresh out of school. You don't have industry experience, because I don't care how many certifications you have, there's a difference between being certified or school taught as opposed to being in a real world where things break. And then you have the business yelling at your boss and your boss looking at you saying, what's going on? So, that's
a good point.
That's how we look at it.
Great. So one of the things that has been coming up more and more at our panels, and it was really interesting a few months back to hear Google's perspective on this, is boot camps. So how many of our attendees are currently enrolled or have graduated a dev boot camp? Raise your hand. So what is that? Mark, what do you think? 15, 20% of the room, something like that? Great. So I'd love to get everyone's feedback on kind of what's happening with boot camps today, and do you consider those candidates? Yes or no, and maybe why? So, DeQuana, please.
We definitely do consider those candidates, and since we were talking a little bit about how to craft your resume to really get to the point and get to the hiring managers, I think there may be some sort of template that boot camps are using for resumes, or some kind of guide that you guys are using.
So don't use that?
Don't use that.
Don't use, okay, good, that's a good one. Do not use it.
Had a hiring manager come to me and say, I saw these resumes that looked exactly alike, and these people all came out of boot camp. And it wasn't a negative, she wasn't trying to be negative, but it smacks of originality, and I think you really should just craft your resume to be specific to you. And, even if you're gonna bite the style of the boot camp resume, really just try not to make it so it looks like it came up straight out of the boot camp. And I think it's really awesome to go to the boot camps, and we don't, immediately disqualify anyone for that. But again, it goes back to having the domain knowledge and being able to, as they said, if something breaks, be able to handle it. Boot camp doesn't make a difference there, but don't use those resumes.
Good point.
Right. Exactly right. I like boot camp. We've hired some boot camp folks at my previous companies. I'm kind of biased to folks who decided to do a career change because they really had a passion for it. So they may have an undergraduate degree in something else, and then went to boot camp because they really had a desire and passion for it. I like boot camp graduates who not only learned in school, but did their own thing, have their own websites, do some of the things that Steve was talking about that are great. I like to look for the passion. I think if I see that, and again, if they've done some internships, and we hired one intern, we hired a person who had done internships for an entry-level job, entry-level role, who kicked butt and went into and just was like amazing. Was probably better than a lot of 3-4 year folks. So,
great.
She was a boot camp graduate. She also, as I said, she.
I'm going to use the classic HR term, it depends right now. Where's Steve Levy? Steve, where are you? He's outside, okay. Don't spend too much time in the bathroom, Steve. So if you take a look at a guy like Steve, right? Same line of business that I'm in. He was an engineer previously. So that means he has that classic training. He has a computer science degree or engineering degree. That to me and to a lot of my clients, for the most part, will carry a lot of weight. Boot camps are great, so I'll tell you 2 quick stories. So I had one manager that I was working with at a major media and entertainment company, NBC, and this guy was into politics. Went to a boot camp. 9 weeks later, he's an associate director for a data analytics group. How does that happen? Awesome. Guy's pretty smart. He loved it, had passion around it, right? If you don't have passion, forget about it, right? But in talking with certain folks, not all skill sets or positions, mind you, but certain development positions, you need to understand that foundation and the why, right? So I think to me, depending on what I'm recruiting for or what my team's recruiting for, what my client wants, I'm gonna be aware of that. So boot camp's good. But the schooling also is key.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that point. And then also going back to what Mark was saying, if you're going through a boot camp or you've been through one and maybe this is your first or second job coming out of that, I definitely want to see that you're doing other things and trying to keep up your learning on your own, whether that's your own personal website like you mentioned, or just being active in different boards and things like that. I want to see that constant effort to improve your skill set, not just being content with, okay, I learned this skill set, now people should automatically hire me because I went through a boot camp. And I've seen the opposite end of that too. So.
Great, thank you. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about your process. If you could talk a little bit about, the number of interviews. Is there, an on-site, technical interview? Again, when we're thinking about hiring, let's, be specific for like junior to intermediate developers. I think would be great for the room. So talk to us about your process. Is there a coding challenge? Where in the process does the coding challenge occur? I think it'd be very helpful to learn how each of your companies manage that. So we'll start with Ryan.
So for any technical position, it's usually a conversation with me. Obviously, I'm not doing any of the technical screening. Next, it goes to the hiring manager. We'll hop on the phone, do a slight code pair, and obviously kind of like talk to them about their backgrounds. And then we usually move things directly to an on-site, which is pretty lengthy. But found it's kind of the best way to go about things. So it's usually about 3 hours of technical interviews with 3 different hiring managers, algorithms, architecture and design, and then like a longer code pair with them. Then we do a social kind of like lunch event. So you can get to know the rest of the team in a more relaxed setting, or like, going out for coffee if it's a different time of the day, and then usually coming back and meeting directly with the hiring managers for another half an hour to an hour.
Great. So before we move on, I wanted to drill in a little bit more to the coding challenges. Raise your hand if you've done a coding challenge, nice and high.
Wow.
So coding a test, basically an assessment. So someone who is asking you to complete a coding test, coding challenge. Awesome. So Ryan, you want to talk maybe just a touch more about the coding test or coding challenge part, and then we'll continue down the panel. Is it lengthy? Do you time it? Do you expect it back in a certain amount of time?
So I've been at companies where we've taken 2 different approaches. So most of the time, at least for my company now, it's like a screen sharing exercise.
So you do it live, actually?
Yeah, we do a live one.
Interesting. So when you said code pairing, you're actually doing it live as a screen share. Interesting. Has anyone done that? Raise your hand. Has anyone done a live? Well, about almost a little less than half of the people or a third of the people who've done a coding challenge. Interesting. Keep going, please.
But at other companies that I've been at, like Canary, the smart device company, and then at ZocDoc as well, they send one out to you. So both of them have their pluses and minuses. Obviously, doing it live, people tend to be a little bit more forgiving if there are mistakes. It does put people under a little bit more added pressure, though. At the same time, from a recruitment perspective, it can be very difficult to know the real quality of an assignment that you give out to someone and they take like 4 or 5 days to complete it. So it's a balancing act. Some companies will do it one way, some will do it another. It's usually what I found personal preference of the hiring manager.
Great. We'll go straight down the panel again about your recruitment process, and then maybe something specific about any sort of code challenge.
Well, I'm going to crush you a little bit because I'm going to probably have the shortest answer out of everyone up here. I work on the agency side, so for us, we take a different stance, right? Sometimes it's catered towards what the client demands. Client may say, well, I had one position I recently filled where it was one phone call, 40 minutes, got the job offer. Another client where they needed to speak with a person 4 times, then interview, then whiteboard, then meet with a senior leader and the business side. And I said, "But this guy's not going to be available? What are we doing?" So it really depends on that side. For us, what we do is we take a hard look at the resume, we read it. So everything that Steve just said before is really important. I like to get to know you and see if you're a fit for this position. a lot of agencies, unfortunately, because of the barriers of entry are pretty low, they have a square hole. Are you that square peg that's going to fit, right? Whereas, hey, I know this industry could be a little smaller, so you might not be a fit for my client, NBC, or today, but you could be for Moody's or something else, right? So we like to get to know you, basically. We're going to go through your background, have 2 conversations. I get involved, and I'm just a dumb sales guy, but I have some smart people on my team, but they do the heavy lifting. I still want to get to know you, soft skills, get to understand your background, why you went from one job to another, right? So we do a lot of that heavy lifting up front, right? We'll do a WebEx or a Skype, right? I want to make sure we see that if you're applying for a gig, we're talking to you, you're the guy that shows up on the interview, and you're the guy that shows up on the day we start. We have folks that, would scam. And then it's what the client wants. I try and prepare my consultants or candidates as much as possible, and I don't want to keep going on in that fashion.
No, please continue.
Well, so it's trying to, like the 3 of you right here, right? If all 3 of you are Java developers, why would you be better than these 2 if I'm hiring for one position, right? So I try and pull that out. And I want to make sure that it is legitimate, right? That you're the right person that I'm looking for. So we do a lot of that up front and prepare you for what's coming. If I have a good relationship with my client, then I'm going to know what's coming ahead of time, and I can prepare you a little bit more. That also helps, again, from an agency side, what the manager would prefer or what the culture is per se, right? If these folks are looking for something specific, right? You could be the world's best data modeler, but he may not like you because you don't fit that environment where he would, right? You might be a better fit for Ryan's company. So that's, I guess, from an agency perspective.
Yeah, I agree a lot. And I do, every now and then I might use an agency.
You better.
See
Please.
me afterwards.
All the agency people out
So
there.
my process, and I'm one of the, I guess, old school. I do read a resume. I was just telling somebody earlier today. I read a resume like I read a newspaper when I'm going past a newsstand. I look at the headline. Man kills wife. Oh, let me stop and read that. So and then the second paragraph. She was messing around with somebody. Oh, great, and read a little more. So that's how I read. That's how I read resumes. I like to.
Please don't take him seriously.
No, don't take me seriously. Don't put that on your resume, please. I look at a resume I like to see the headline. I like to see what's up at the top. To Steve's point, I like to see right up front. 3 to 5 years experience in yada yada. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I like that. That's what I'm looking for. Then I'll read it a little more. So then I will. ATS systems, and Steve was really right on when he was talking about ATS systems. They'll do what they do, but look, a good recruiter is going to look at that resume, top, and I'm one of the folks that likes. I don't mind more than a 1-page resume. 2 pages is fine. Sometimes 3 is okay. A little more than that, okay. But I like to look
Must
down.
be some headline if you're going to read all 3 pages.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Java developer scales Empire State Building.
I've gone down to. I like looking at the hobbies. Things like that really matter. You see what people concerned about, like with their maybe with volunteer work. And I was just telling somebody today, don't be afraid to put your volunteer work on your resume. I built a website for my church. I built a website for my community center. Did that. We love to see that. It also shows, like you said, Ryan, more passion for what you do. So real quickly, once I see your resume and call that person, I'll do the initial conversation. I'm old school. I like good communication skills. I like clear speaking voices on the phone, whether it's accent or not. I don't care as long as you have good communication skills. Tell me about what you did. If that works out well, then they'll bring them in for the technical interviews. We used to do the coding tests. My last company that I was with, one of my coworkers is here. We actually got rid of it, which I think is actually good. We do live code sharing, and then when they come in, person sits down 3 hours. It's a long time, but we try to limit it to that one time. So get plenty of rest when you go in for that one day. Sometimes some companies call it a power day or whatever it is. Get plenty of rest and put your best foot forward. And then we'll make a decision after that. But coding tests, I understand, and I'm not a coder, but I understand that there are some shortcuts to some of the coding tests. I've heard that some of them get out, and so anybody could pass it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't kind of trust that.
So what's your thought on sort of so the second panelists who've talked a little bit more about kind of these live code shares or code pairing? Are you seeing that as a trend that some of your other colleagues are looking into? Do you think that our candidates in the room should prepare for more of that in the future?
For more of the live?
Yeah, more of the live.
I think they should prepare for more of the live. Yeah, I think companies, at least, and stop me if I'm wrong, are kind of getting away from that sending out the coding test first before they see a candidate, which I think is not fair.
Right. We want to, more so than anything, understand the way in which you go about solving a problem and the way you think. So that's the real benefit there. If you can arrive at these solutions organically, if you need a little bit of help getting there, we just want to see that progression.
I've seen companies where they would take a coding test and send it out to a candidate. Do this first, and if you can do this, then you may be allowed to come into my kingdom. You know, I've had one client say that to us, and I said, well, I know some consultants or some candidates will look at this and walk away, and they're good people. You know, they want to talk to you first and understand what you're doing, what's your mission, what type of project work's involved. They want to talk to your manager. They'll do your test. They'll whiteboard till the cows come home. But, let's have a conversation first. We do technical tests. We have a system that cover the basics, and we have consultants where, if it's something high end, if I need an architect, right, I'm not just going to take your word. You're a great architect, right? So we'll test you out a little bit to make sure you cover the bases, as well as the background backing that up. But throwing that all out in the front door right away in their face, I don't know if I would agree with that.
Great. DiMenna?
And we do throw it out in your face first. No.
Oh.
So, no, we don't. So initially it goes through just an application review. Everyone reads everyone's resumes that come in. Our hiring managers review them in detail. I take about 10 minutes before I do the initial HR phone screen to look it over and have good knowledge of what you're doing, what you've done, your tenure. All that good stuff, so we review there. And then if it goes well, and again, to your point, communication is key. We have a highly collaborative environment, so that's going to be very important that you can communicate and work with other people. We don't code in the corner. We don't throw code over the wall. You're definitely going to be in a collaborative environment, so it's very important. I like to keep it light. I want to be able to converse with you because that's the type of environment it is. I may ask like a sneak technical question, but I don't get too deep because then I'll be like, oh, wait, now I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I totally try to have a good grasp of the role so I can connect with you on that level and at least know the basics. And then after that HR phone screen, I do send a coding test. So here's the problem. We go back and forth. So we have a couple of roles where we did a live coding exercise. We switched to that once we had a lot of people that were coming in that couldn't code. So essentially that was it. A lot of my team came to me because, we've talked about getting rid of the coding tests, how useful they are, if they're fair. And then when we've tried to play around with it, we have people that came into the in-person interviews and could not code. So, we maybe down the line we'll find, a really cool new way to do it. But right now, the coding tests, I think they're pretty basic. They do vet your problem solving. Most everyone solves them and does really well on them for the most part that I see. And we do have open-ended questions as well that are incorporated into a lot of them so we can see. So we don't just see your score and throw it away. Someone looks at it, reviews it, and looks at your thought process. After that, you would talk to the hiring manager. It's about a 45-minute interview where you're going to get more technical and more in depth than you did, of course, during my conversation.
Is that typically phone or in person?
That's phone.
Still phone at this point?
Yeah, that's a phone interview. And then after that phone interview, you come in, and then that's the onslaught, like the 2.5 to 5 hour interview. The data roles are a little longer. Other ones are a little shorter. Some of our front end developer role had 2 in-persons, 2 or 3 in-persons. Just because it's a very small team, you're going to be working with these people every day, and we wanted to make sure that your communication styles meshed and that sort of thing. So we'll do it in person. Definitely take a nap, eat, drink, do everything before you come in. We give you breaks. I order you lunch. You get lunch, at a halfway point. And then if it all goes well from there, we close it out with a conversation with our CEO, just to kind of close that loop. And that's the final stage. And then you'll see me and I'll say, hey, an offer. And, if it goes well at that stage. So that's how it goes.
Yes, please, Ryan.
One more thing regarding when assignments are sent out to you, at least at some of the companies that I've worked at in the startup world, they'll also put bonus stuff at the bottom, or like kind of, this is the assignment, but if you want to do X, Y, and Z, like if it's interesting to you, definitely take advantage of that if it's a company that you're really interested in and passionate about, because it'll reflect onto HR and the hiring team that, you're really excited. It'll get us more excited about your candidacy.
Great. So we're going to come back here. And I'd love to hear a success story. So if you could talk about maybe a recent process that landed into a successful hire, and if you could talk a little bit about where that person was either sourced from, or where that initial introduction came from, and what made it a great experience not only for the candidate but also for your team too.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I could go back to working with a junior level engineer that we took a chance on, and this was actually before we implemented a lot of our some of the processes we have in place today, because we've grown so much over the last couple of years. So the process has become more robust in recent years. But at the beginning, we've had a junior candidate, one in particular, who came in. We were unsure about his experience. He didn't have a computer science degree. He was just not that matters, but it was just not really in that vertical at all. He came in, was just a superstar as far as coding. We actually in-house sourced him, so we found him ourselves, just reaching out and being like, hey, he's doing some interesting stuff, which is what I do all day. I sit and try to see, who would be good to work for JW Player, and when I reach out, it's because I've stalked you before I reached out. So, so we did that. He was awesome. He came in. He's actually moved teams 3 times seamlessly, just because he's kind of a jack of all trades, and he was a very junior candidate that we took a chance on, and we just wanted to see what he could do. And yeah, he went through the process. He kicked ass, and he today is one of our best coders, one of our best engineers. He creates specialized coding tests for us because we like to tap into the team for advice on how to reach out to technical professionals and make sure that they feel appreciated when they're going through the process. And he's helped us a lot with that. And this was a very junior level candidate, and that's one of our biggest success stories, because he's now on the DevOps team. He came in on the player team. He went to our media engineering, and now he's DevOps. And it was seamless. And the thing is, on our team, we want you to be able to reach out if you're interested in another team and another vertical, and that's what we try to encourage. And he definitely did that, and I love him. He's awesome. And so, yeah, that was our biggest success story, and we found him, so we were really happy about it.
Awesome. And how long was that process from you reached out and he was hired?
Yeah, that was about all of our, I always say this on my initial phone calls, I've not been myself personally involved in a process, even with the process that I outlined for you guys, that was more than 3 weeks, unless something weird happened. It's 2 to 3 weeks. His was 2 to 3 weeks to start to finish.
Great. So let's continue with the success stories.
Yeah, as a recruiter, and I know just listening to your story, nothing is better for us as recruiters than to hire someone who's become successful in the company, and you can kind of look back and go, I hired that person, right? That's a great feeling. There's been a lot of success. I've been doing this for 26 years. So, but the one I think about, the most recent, very difficult to fill role with a company that I was working at 2 years ago. We were looking for we were actually looking for a program manager. The company was going through some changes. We almost doubling the size of the company. In the midst of looking for a program director, our product director resigned. So we now had 2 roles. So reached out on LinkedIn. Every now and then LinkedIn does work. Reached out to a person who happened to be a female candidate, diverse candidate in Seattle, who was working for a pretty large company in Seattle. You can probably guess who it might be. And they said, she would never leave that company to come to work for you. It's in Seattle. This is New York. She'll never come. Well, sometimes luck has a lot to do with it too. This person happened to be going through a divorce and was kind of like ready for her next move, and came in and was able to actually take both roles on. She was so senior, had done both program management, product management, had something like 15 years experience, just amazing. And it took about 2 or 3 months to get it done, but the relocation for her to decide, salary negotiation, just everything else. But it turned out great. She came and took over both roles, was able to help build both program and product management, and kind of look back and go, yeah, I hired her, type of thing. So those are always great.
Awesome.
I might move over a little bit. Man kills wife, divorce. I don't know, man. It's crazy. again, because of the space I'm in, it's a little bit different than these three fine folks. So, I have some success stories, maybe more than some, but it's from a different perspective. So, recently I had a candidate, and most of the folks that I work with, put on projects are consultants. Whereas I don't want to be presumptuous, but I'm guessing they're hiring full-time employees directly into the organization, maybe some contractors from time to time. So for us, the process is faster. They're mercenaries coming in, they do a job, they get the job done, they're off, they're on the next gig.
The mercenaries fit with the whole man and wife and jumping off buildings.
Okay, yeah, just call me Rambo. So I had one candidate or a consultant where the process was long. It took 2.5 weeks, and that's not insanely long, but it was a process nonetheless. So a few things, there were 3 things that mattered, right? One, he was patient, right? He had a good attitude and worked through the process. That meant a lot, right? He was always positive throughout, and it made it a pleasure, made me want to work for him and champion him into my client, right? Because I could have used other candidates. Secondly, he was very honest throughout the process. I cannot tell you how many times I've been lied to or made up stories, and I'm sure we all have war stories. We have some classics, right? You have to be honest. If you're late to an interview, own up to it. Life happens, guys. He was very honest about everything and kept me abreast of other activity, interviewing elsewhere, right? So that was big. He got the gig. He's on site. Now he's a senior person. And he was there. He realized, you need to get that?
You were in a music hall singing a song, so that's good.
That's all good. My daughter, sorry. That's okay. That's the boss. When he was on site, he was smart enough and savvy enough to understand this was not his, the last gig he's ever going to have. So he networked. He made friends. One of those folks helped him get another gig after the project was over. So those 3 things do keep in mind, right? They're rudimentary or basic, but not a lot of people do all 3 all the time. So just a little PSA for all you folks, right? Sometimes the little things do matter because I'm not selling or promoting microphones or pianos or projectors. I deal with human beings, right? And it's a very dynamic space, very interesting. Every day is different. And I've been doing this for, since tennis balls are square. So, again, we both share stories. So that's my 2 cents.
Great, thank you.
So I've actually only been at Handy for about 3 months now. So no.
You can tell a story from your previous company.
Yeah,
It's
I was
okay.
gonna say I don't have any engineering success stories there, but at the place I was before, I made a hire for the director of our DevOps team. Took a while, was a very, very long, lengthy process, but once we were able to get him in, it allowed us to get the ball rolling on a bunch of other positions as well and bring on more junior people to the team, which was good because our infrastructure was falling apart every other day. So it was quite a relief to get that hire. And it actually came right after I had somebody stolen by JW Player, so that was nice too.
Uh-oh. See, this is where the panel gets interesting.
Well, cool story.
Just thanks.
All's fair in love and war.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It is a war for talent. So,
Great. So we'll stay with Ryan and we'll come back down. Red flags. What's a great tip or a fun story that's happened to you that you can share that people can avoid? Is there something that they shouldn't say, shouldn't do? Again, thinking about this junior to intermediate developer role, what throws up a red flag that says I need to get this person out of my office, and how did they make it in here this far past all of my screening? So we won't say what happened, it failed on the call. So let's say they got through the screening call or 2, they actually made into the office, and something happened that you wondered why and how they actually made it through.
So I have one from my early days, which was actually a hire when I was working on your side of the business. And I think this comes back to some things that everybody else has said, like be social, network. I hired this woman for a consulting gig for a company out on the West Coast, and she lived in rural, upstate New York. And she basically would just come do the job, not talk to anyone, sit in the server room by herself and code. And basically, people there just got like very sick of her because she wouldn't collaborate, she wouldn't communicate, and just tried to do her own thing, even though it was kind of like against the grain of what this organization was trying to accomplish. So definitely network as much as possible with the people you work with. Focus on working in a collaborative way to get the job done. Sometimes it may be a little bit more difficult to work with people that way, especially if you know better and think that this is the way you should do things, but that effective communication is definitely going to be important.
So this should be good. On the agency side, you had to send someone that did something crazy or said something, and the client called you that they're already out the door.
Yeah, I got a couple. I have one that's funny. So we go, I don't want to share nightmares because, there are some, and you try and do everything you can to screen a candidate, and you do your best to get to know someone, and something pops up. So, back when I was a young little guppy in the business, when the Twin Towers were up, I was working with the Port Authority. Manager needs to hire an Oracle DBA. So I set up a phone interview. Girl nails it. I mean, I remember her name. It just rocked the interview. Well, obviously for other reasons I remember because of the crazy story. But manager's like, I want to hire this person, but I got to meet her. It's like, okay, no problem. Hey, Maria, we're going to the World Trade Center. Okay? You would think, right? So we get there. We go to security. I'm going to walk her up and meet the client. I figure, okay, this is going to be a handshake. 20 minutes later, I got a new consultant on board, right? We get to the counter. She goes, I can't go upstairs. What do you mean you can't go upstairs? I can't get on the elevator and go past the 13th floor. Huh? How do you screen for that?
On your resume,
Anybody?
you'll write "not afraid of elevators."
Any suggestions on that one? So I look at her the way Mark just looked at me. He's like, what? I call up the manager and I says, listen, I can't make this up, so here you go. So we're talking for a couple of minutes. He goes, listen, let me come downstairs. Brings her to the 12th floor. They had a conference room.
They're trying.
He's trying. 2 hours later, he hires her and has her work remotely. So, hey, sometimes skill set does matter. I don't know what the takeaway is. You kind of might want to tell your contact at the agency or your company about certain things you're afraid or you're not willing to do. That was a bugaboo. I think she should have said something, but regardless.
Like if you're afraid of spiders, don't work at the Museum of Spiders or something like that.
I have more, but we're going to, in the essence of saving a little time. That was a fun one.
Great.
Thanks.
So many, but I'll just tell. We should write a book.
We'll do one because we're gonna continue. So
Yeah.
we'll do one each.
Yeah, this is a quick one. Years ago, I was working for American Express when we were at the World Financial Center. We shared a reception area with, at that time it was Shearson. Gosh, I'm giving away my age. And so the reception area. So I had to went out to the reception area. You go to the reception area and you'd ask. You tell the person's name. There'd be a bunch of folks that then you give say the person's name and they say, oh, that's me. Come with me. Let's go interview. So Deborah. So I'm thinking that's Deborah. So I go out to the reception area and I say, Deborah, whatever the last name was, Deborah. No movement. There was a few young ladies out there. One was just kind of looking straight ahead, no eye contact. I said, Deborah, Williamson, whatever the last name was, nothing. So finally, I walked over to this young lady. I said, excuse me, are you Deborah? And she turns to me and says, it's Deborah. Yo.
I have people skills.
I mean, attitude. I mean, like, it's Deborah. And so
you can't screen for that one either.
I mean, I just, and I'm a nice guy. I'm cool. I say, Deborah, sorry. And I interviewed her for like all of 5 minutes and boom, she was gone. So funny stuff. I have Deborah, not Deborah. Sorry.
Last one. You get the last word. It's good.
Mine aren't as good. Those are awesome. I think one literal red flag is to research your company. I get so many people that I talk to, and I have had some people come all the way to in person, and they call us like a music streaming company or just no grasp of what the technology or what the company does. So it's just a tip there. But other than that, I had a guy who I always, whenever I'd send out interview schedules for the in-persons, I would put interviewers subject to change, not your time, nothing like that. So I had one interviewer. I do two per segment, just tag team, 2 people vetting. One guy wasn't able to attend the segment. I used to send out interview schedules that were detailed, that showed every person that the candidate would be meeting with. Something happened. One of those interviewers couldn't meet with the candidate. The candidate flipped out. Had a tantrum in one of the conference rooms. Like, was throwing stuff because he was supposed to meet. He was like, "You said we were going to meet with Joe Blow," and I was like, and now I no longer send detailed interview schedules out. So you live and you learn. But that's probably the most memorable one. So things change, everyone. Stuff happens.
Yeah, the lesson is if you're in the middle of a job interview, don't throw things.
Yeah, no, to walk them out.
Yeah, you had to literally walk them out. Great. So we're just going to ask each of our panelists to maybe share an opening on the engineering side. If you have one, we'll just pick one because we want to make sure we can include the other employers. Again, if there are any other employers in the room who would like to come up and spend like a minute and tell us about an open position or two, if you have not checked in with Jamie, if you could please, at this point actually maybe you can go check in with Mark, or Jamie's by the back table. And I would ask that all of the employers who have already checked in with Jamie, who will be presenting their openings, if you could please maybe come up to Mark right now, just so we can get everyone onto the stage, and we'll have lots of time for networking. So we'll ask everyone just kind of go around this way by Mark. So Ryan first, we'll come back this way. If you have an opening, please share a little bit about it.
So we are basically a mobile-first platform, so we are looking to build out our iOS team a little bit further. We are still on Objective-C, not really using too much Swift at this point, but slowly making that transition. We'll see when it fully happens, but probably somebody with like 2 to 4 years of experience.
Awesome. We'll do it rapid fire, straight down.
Sure. So I don't have one specific opening. I have a number of them. So I'll make this short and sweet. My division is a staffing play within a system integrator. So I'd love to meet all the companies that are hiring. But at the same time, for folks that are looking, whether it's junior, mid-level, to more senior, look me up on LinkedIn. Again, my name's Aurelio Sisto, NTT Data. You want to connect? I'm happy to connect you with our delivery team. I know there's a lot of you, but I'll help everyone I can. And whether you're a developer, analyst, engineer, what have you.
Great.
DevOps, cloud engineers, solutions architects. I'll be more specific later if you need
Number like junior, intermediate area?
Intermediate to senior.
Great.
What he said, and also a junior data engineer role. My VP of Data Platform will love me for this. We are hiring for that. That is literally junior. It is the pathway into a data engineer role. Python, you just have to code. We'll teach you everything else. You just got to be a strong coder.
Awesome. Well, let's thank our panelists. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So if you can stay here, because if you leave the stage, people will rush at you. So again, I'm going to introduce Mark Roth. Yes, we're going to do this up on the stage. I'm going to introduce Mark Roth, our co-founder and COO. So thanks, everyone. So after the employers speak, we're going to have time for networking. And thank you again to our panelists.
Thank you.
Thanks, Howie. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so for the employers, just come up when I call you and just give like 1 or 2 jobs max and your contact information. Alyssa from Right Click.
Hi, my name's Alyssa. I work for Right Click, which is based in Stamford, Connecticut, and also New York City. We are an IT staffing firm that specializes specifically for developers. So 2 roles would be, we have mid-level .NET developer roles for a number of hedge funds in the city, and then as well as JavaScript developers, probably junior to mid, for a number of startups in the city. Okay.
Thank you. Brian from 1010 Data. Okay. We'll take David.
Hi, I'm David from 1010 Data. We are a big data analytics company based here in New York City, and a couple of roles we're working on at the moment. A core developer, so anyone with a background in C or C++, 1 to 3 years experience. Also a software engineer in test. It is a testing focused role, but we are looking for developers. So any junior level 1 to 3 years experience in development. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Brittany from Comrise. Come on down.
Hi, I'm from Comrise. We're a staffing and enhanced search technology company. We currently have roles for a telemedicine client. They're remote, full-time, permanent positions. You can sit anywhere in the U.S. Full stack, Java developers, iOS. And then on another note, you guys were talking about ATSs a few times. We actually created a visualization technology to help with the weaknesses of ATSs. So it goes beyond just keyword searching. It's pretty cool. We're currently within an ATS right now live and working with other ones. So we are helping with the struggle you guys are having with ATSs.
Thanks, Brittany. Carolyn from Prestige.
Hi, I'm Carolyn from Prestige Staffing. We're a staffing agency for IT, mostly focused on developers and startups. Right now, if you're Python, definitely come find me, but specifically I have a couple of e-commerce roles that are definitely junior. One's Java, and the other one is PHP Magento.
Thank you. Hi, I'm from Simon Foundation.
Hi everyone, my name is Chaim Singer with the Simons Foundation. We're a nonprofit organization that does scientific research. We fund it, we do it, we provide a lot of different resources to the scientific community. We've doubled in size in the past year and we currently have 15 different tech roles open. So we've got a lot of different things happening, but just a few options right now. Definitely a lot of front-end engineers, people with experience with React, as well as full-stack developers with Django experience. Come see me.
Thank you. Stephen from Memorial Sloan.
Hey everyone, how are you? My name is Stephen King. I work at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. We do 3 major things: patient care, cancer research, and cancer education. We have a lot of stuff going on. We work in a 5,000 plus server environment. Some of the main hot jobs I have are we're looking for a server automation engineer, someone that knows SCCM or BSA. I'm also looking for a couple data scientists, people who understand natural language processing. I'm also looking for somebody that just understands machine learning. We work in a Python, R environment. I have actually tons of jobs that run the gamut of IT. I manage all the IT recruitment. So if you want to talk to me, I'll be right over there, and I'll tell you all about our organization and the jobs.
Thank you. We have about 6 more companies. So we have James from Nascent Art.
Hey, how's everybody going? Ooh, that's really loud. Sorry. Don't mean to scare you. I'm going to use the full 60 seconds. Nascent Art New York has been around for 10 years. We're basically revolutionizing the art industry. And in those 10 years, I also sold an internet company that was unrelated. And so we're trying to figure out ways of merging doing good things for artists with technological efficiency. We're looking for an iOS developer. I came to the last Crowded event and we found 2 great full stack guys, but we might be interested in a third. So if you have full stack or native React, that'll be great. We're definitely looking for iOS. I'm James, the art dude, and our website is nascentartny.com. So if you want to email me and you can't find me later, it's HR@nascent. It's a spelling test. If you're a coder, you got to be able to spell. So nascent, N-A-S-C-E-N-T, artny.com. James. Say again? Did you hire those 2? Yeah. Paco, raise your hand. Where's Paco? Where's my man Paco? He went to have a beer. There he is, Paco. Paco's a Crowded dude. Met him here. Already paid him once. And want to pay him again. I want to pay one of you guys. Thanks.
Great, great. Gerson from High Crate. Gerson? Okay, Jenny from Straight Search. Wow, you tricked me.
Hey, Jenny Straight with Straight Search, a small boutique agency in New York City. focus a lot with startups, Series A and B. So really fun startups that might hit it big one day, hopefully. A couple of pressing roles would be a UX designer. Drupal experience is great, 3+ years experience for an agency. Also with a very cool startup in the renters space in Manhattan. Not sure if anyone's familiar with them, but you can do a little research and find out. But they're looking for a product designer. If you can code also, it's a big plus. Find me afterwards, I'll probably be on that wall. Thanks.
Thank you. Michelle and Kristen from meetup.com.
Hello, I'm Michelle and this is Kristen. We're from Meetup. That's the platform we use to come to this event tonight. We're also a mobile-first company, so we do have an Android and iOS app. We're a JVM shop, so we're primarily Scala and Java. We also have a CI/CD environment and building out microservices as well. So we're looking for a senior back-end Scala engineer, a mid-level machine learning engineer who can work on a recommendation model, and a junior Android developer. And then lastly, we do have an awesome internship for women in engineering. That's for the summer. Come find us afterwards and chat us up. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, Jerson, where is he? From High Crate.
Yeah, hi. I'm looking for a senior level position, like a CTO. The roles consist of project managing the complete technical aspect of the company. We are based in Long Island, out of Long Island. It's High Crate is it's a fashion. We're a startup company. We're still in the beginning level. Basically, we're looking for. It's a fashion e-commerce marketplace that we're building, fashion and electronics.
Okay. Thank you. William from Pitney Bowes.
How's everyone doing today? Pitney Bowes is actually 97 years old, historically known as a firmware, hardware solutions provider. I work for a group called Innovation. We support SaaS products, e-commerce solutions, and sell everything brand to brand. So for example, everyone checks into Facebook. That software, the geospatial location intelligence that does that, is us. What we're looking for today is software engineers. We're pretty agnostic. Java is something that we look for a lot. We do have DevOps opportunities, some QA roles, and we are based in Stamford, Connecticut. We also have an office here in Midtown, Shelton, Connecticut, Danbury, and we're worldwide. We have 15,000 employees. Thank you very much.
Thanks, William. And Sal from Study Buddies.
Hey guys, it's a big crowd today. Good turnaround. Study Buddies is an educational platform for college students to connect based on their class schedules. We just had the official launch last week. We're in the top 30 universities across the country. And we're currently looking for an iOS developer, a .NET developer, and someone who has a bit of experience with chatbot.
Thank you. All right, that's all the employers we have. Listen, when you guys are looking to talk to each employer. All right, 1 minute. For the most part, all the employers should have a green dot on their badge. I think Joe probably told you that earlier, but just want to make sure that you know, so you can find the employers that way. And Andrew, why don't you come on up, because we are also looking for a developer for Crowded.
Hey guys, I don't think I have to introduce our company, as you've been here for the last couple hours. So essentially we're looking for a full stack engineer that is not afraid to prove Uncle Steve wrong, that the ATSs can be smart and let everyone know exactly the type of, and recommend the exact type of candidates that the employers are looking for. So anyone who's willing to think outside the box can code very well and build very smart algorithms, isn't afraid to jump into any different project and project to project. That's what we're looking for. Just fill out your profiles and on crowded.com and we will find you. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. So with that, we're gonna wrap things up. You guys could hang out, network, talk to the employers. When you're leaving, we do have some shirts available, and if you haven't gotten a shirt yet at a previous event, feel free to grab one. And also, when you do that, please turn in your lanyards with the people upstairs. So thanks, everybody, for coming out. We appreciate you braving the rain to do so. And again, thanks to our panel. And keep coming back.